Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about freelancers versus full-time remote employees. So, if you felt the effects of COVID in the past 2 years, you've probably your organization has probably adapted somehow by either hiring remotely or sending the existing teams to work from home, or hiring freelancers all over the world. However, there is a bit of a distinction between hiring freelancers as such, so contractors, or hiring employees full-time remotely in a different location or in a different country. And today I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of each. So freelancers versus full-time remote, and give you a bit of a perspective from what our experience is at Softup and what our clients' experience has also been, to try to shed some more light into this, because I don't see a lot of material on this topic, a lot of content on this topic online. So we're going to start with freelancers, the pros of freelancing or hiring freelancers. The first one is basically a fast to hire time. So if you're looking to hire or bring people on board fast, freelancing is a good option for that. There's always individuals looking for projects. They're usually like to be in control of their own schedule. They have some of their own conditions. They have their hourly rate, daily rate, monthly rate, whatever it is. And they like to be in charge of their own life that way. And they tend to be quite fast at joining projects. I mean, that's one of the, let's say, USPs of being a freelancer, is that you can come on board rather fast and we can hire you and you can get started right away. Secondly, is good for testing out the waters. So basically, if you're looking to hire someone more long-term, but you don't know the person so well, or you don't know how this is going to work out, or you don't know whether the role that you're looking to hire is exactly a fit for the person that you're talking to, you might want to test things out. You might want to take it slowly, and maybe even the candidate might also want to be in a freelance position in the beginning before they convert to a full-time job. So that's an advantage. Before both parties can commit full-time, you can test out the waters by being a freelancer. The third one is expert knowledge. So, I mean, this is a bit of a generalization, but I'm going to go ahead and make that generalization right now. But freelancers tend to have a bit more specific knowledge, tend to be a bit more of an expert in that field than full-time employees. Reason being is, generally speaking, again, this is very general. I know someone's going to come in the comment and say, I know full-time remote employees who are better experts at their field than freelancers, but this is generally speaking. Freelancers do have some expert knowledge, and probably because they've been doing this for a while, or they've doing this before, and probably because they have, quote unquote, sold themselves before. So that's basically one of the reasons. And they can come on a project with requiring a bit of a lesser learning curve. They can get more up to speed a bit faster, provided that they have the right experience, of course. But generally speaking, freelancers, because they are their own bosses and because they're more of a business rather than, let's say, a classical employee, they tend to be better at these skills. So they will have a bit of a niche information that someone who is more of a generalist might not have. The other thing is, with freelancers as well, they've probably done this before. So probably, or most likely, this is their bread and butter. They've worked with freelancing projects before. They know how it works. They know what it takes to succeed. And short of basically them not being very good at their job, but short of that, they probably will come to your project, absorb a bit faster, ask the right question, have that edge, have the communication skill, just a little bit better than maybe a full-time remote employee who maybe he has not done it before. Maybe he's used to working in an office, and the whole remote thing might be relatively new, besides the 1 or 2 years if we've been doing this as a collective experiment. Outside of that, they might be new to this experience. The other thing is freelancers might be more independent. So because they are assigned into shorter projects and outcomes for them are very kind of critical, they need to jump in a project, deliver relatively fast, prove that they're worth basically the rate that they're getting paid for. Freelancers tend to jump in, as we said already, deliver faster, have that knowledge, but also have a bit more independence. They're usually accustomed to working by themselves, or at least working more independently and requiring a bit less guidance. I mean, of course, there's going to be project onboarding time. They need to read all the documentation and meet the relevant stakeholders. But again, because a freelancer tend to have more experience, they kind of know what to do, and they can work out details faster, and also requiring, let's say, less supervision and less handling or less management from your side. And the last thing is that a freelancer would not need a specific career path or require close supervision. So freelancers, again, by nature, are assigned to relatively time-specific, relatively short projects, meaning they will be there for 3, 6, 12 months, let's say, and then that contract will get renegotiated based on how they do. And for that purpose, they will not spend, or it's not expected, at least, for them to spend too much time thinking about how they will grow in this role, or where do they see themselves in the future. So you'll be having less of these conversations with them and more rather around deliverables, around getting results and things like that. So those are the pros of freelancers. So jumping to the next section would be the cons. There's only 2 of them, but they might be a deal breaker depending on who you are. So freelancers are expensive in the long run. They can be expensive in the short run as well, but definitely in the long run, freelancers tend to be expensive, as they, again, charge per hour or charge per some sort of deliverable that for you generates a lot of value, but they know that, so they probably price it accordingly. So if you're looking for someone more long-term, you need to consider that additional cost that freelancers bring in. Even if you hire them, remotely or in a lower income country, you can think about, hiring a full-time employee in the lower income country, and that will be more cost effective. But obviously cost is only one part of the equation. And the other one is commitment. And this has basically 2 parts. It can be commitment in time and availability in time, and you need to figure that out with your freelancer from the beginning. So you need to set the right expectations and expect them to work your working hours, and if it's an arrangement where it's required to work 40 hours per week, let's say 9 to 6 or 9 to 5, you need to set these expectations from the beginning. But there might be, and there are plenty of cases where the freelancer does have more than one project, sometimes 2 or 3. And when that's the case and you are aware of that, then handling and managing multiple priorities will become a challenge. You might not feel it, but you might also feel it. It really depends on the situation, on the freelancer, and on the scope of work that he has committed to. So that is something to keep in mind. The other thing is commitment on a, let's say, cultural or emotional level, right? So you cannot create a strong culture off of loosely related contractors working for you. So if you want a strong culture, you need people who are committed to this culture, and you need people who are willing to do things, let's say, outside of their defined job description, to push this goal, to push your goal forward, to push your vision forward. And freelancers, while they might be good at executing, they tend to be, unless they convert over time, not as involved or as engaged with your brand and with your culture per se. So this is another aspect. So there's only 2 cons for freelancers at this point, but this could be deal breakers depending on who you are.